Okay, I'm going to take off where we left off on the first video. Um, what I've done here, this is where we left off. I created a stamp layer of the two layers that I created. Your original picture and the picture that I added on top of it, which was this boat, was a separate image. Now they're pressed together as one image. So what I want to show you now is go into convert this entire image into black and white. Be careful, I'm going to open a coat. I hadn't had any liquids. Okay, so I converted this to black and white to show you this. There's some things you can do in here just to play around with images. After the black and white conversion, go here into saturation. And you can start playing with these colors. I can adjust just the reds and get them the way I want. Come in here, crank up the blue. You can go really crazy with it, but I tend just to keep it down low. Now this is only adjusting the colors that are already present in your picture, which most of the time that's what you want to work with. But something else I like to do is we'll back this out of here. Again, I'll convert this to black and white. And I'll come in here and I go into the Pro mode. And under Pro, there's down near the bottom, maybe the bottom, right before split toning, you'll see photo filter. You go in here and you choose the amount that you, well, I've already got the amount. It's supposed to work. Let me close and see what's going on. Okay, here we go. Photo filter. I'm choosing the amount first. It's just on the color it was on. But what you do here is you can adjust around on the scale until you get the color you want to work with. In this case, I'm looking for blue. I want to do the ocean, and you'll see a lot of my oceans that are real blue. And this is what I do to them. Okay, I've got them blue. I've got the blue. The whole picture's blue. So I go in here again, edit mask, choose brush. I go up here, always make sure you're in the paint mode, the one that's not highlighted in this case. So I want to paint this image in here. And it may be the opposite, the erase, but I call it the paint mode. Because what happens when you're in the paint mode and you start painting, everything else disappears except what you're painting in. And I'm gonna, before I do that, I always remind you, go under pen pressure. I right click on the brush and I go under here to make my adjustments. Pen pressure, I take off radius and opacity, because what that does, if it makes your image darker as you make things smaller, it appears to. I don't know exactly. It's really designed to do pen pressure when you're using one of these pads over here that I never liked. Okay, so you turn that off. We're doing a big area. I'm doing the ocean. I'm putting the blue in the ocean, so I'm going to make this kind of large. I'm going to turn my softness down because when I get near the top, I don't want my colors fading over into the sky or into the boat. And the opacity, I'm going to go ahead and darken it all the way. All that does is you only have to make one pass. Okay, I'm going to right click and I'm going to paint in. Just drag my mouse across here. And this red mask is great because it makes sure you don't miss anything. It's a little confusing when you're painting in red because you think that is your red color. But anyway, here I'm getting closer to the edge here, and I'll show you when I get really close to the edge. I let go of the mouse and you see how blue that ocean has turned now. And it looks natural because it preserves all the shadows and lights beneath it. And I zoomed in using my mouse. And if you don't have a mouse that has this center scroll, you need to get one because it really makes it easy to zoom in and out. Okay, and to get closer to the top, you can just zoom in, and it's like I say, you just roll the center of your mouse towards you the way I've got it set up here. And that just makes it real easy. I missed the bottom down here. A little space there. did pretty good there. I didn't run over any. If I did, all we'd have to do is change this into erase and go back over this thing. If you ever want to look at your mask, well, we'll do that later in another video because I'm going ahead of myself. All right, so we created the blue in the water. If you want anything that exact color blue, you could go ahead and put it in up here, but we don't want that. So I'm going to go here and I am going to create a stamped layer. And we're merging the two layers together, the color layer and the black and white layer, one layer now. Now I'll be on my computer system. I've got a lot of RAM and all, and a good processor, but still, if I do too many layers, it slows my system down and crashes it. So after a couple of layers, I normally export the image into a file folder, take all instances out of this program, in other words, remove the images I've been editing and reload the new image and start working from it, so I don't have all these layers working. Because I'm not sure that turning off layers over here on the right is actually saving me any memory, or it's just not viewing them. I think they're still there. Okay, so here's what we're doing now. I've saved that as a stamped layer. I'm going to go back into my Pro menu, and I'm going to do the same thing again. I always just go ahead and get the amount, and then I'll go for the color I'm looking for. I'm going to go for a yellow color, and I'll show you why. Okay, I've gone to yellow. I've chosen my brush. I'm going to right click and turn off radius and opacity under pen pressure. I'll say that over and over. If I don't say it, you still need to do it. Turn my softness pretty far down. I'm going to get my, well, you know what? I'm going to get the softness up a little. That just makes a haze around the edge. Okay, and my opacity, I'm going to keep it down too, because what I'm doing here is I'm trying to create, and you'll see a light effect where the sun is shining on this water. I'm going to really play with it here and just see what it looks like. And actually, that I overshot on purpose to see what it looked like, and it looks bad, so I'm going to erase where I went over into the blue. I may not do a great job of it because this is just a demo, but just to show you some effects that you can learn. Okay, now while I'm going to go back into paint here, and I'm going to add a glow for the sun. And yeah, it looks a little weird. I probably need to increase my softness for it so that it doesn't have such a sharp edge. That's okay for now. We'll leave that because what we're going to do now, I don't want any more yellow. So I am going to create a stamped layer. And I don't like a lot of stamped layers to work with. So what I like to do is go over here now and I want to go over here and export. I thought I did, but it's not letting me export this layer yet. One more time. Okay, I got no idea. So instead of doing that, we're going to take a chance to do another layer. If it fails, you'll never know because I'll have to start the video over. What I'm going to do again with the next layer is do the same thing. What color do I want now? I like reds in my skies. So I think I'm fixing to get interrupted again. So I hear somebody in the house, so I might have to stop again. Okay, so I like red in the sky. And I go here, I've chosen the color I want. I go to edit mask, I hit brush. I right click on brush, turn off radius and opacity under pen pressure. I leave my size alone. Let's see, the softness, I'll come down to here. Opacity like this. Now where I want some of this new color in the sky, I'll just kind of gradually paint some reds in here. maybe, bands of red in here. Alright, so there's my red. And probably don't want it overlapping this yellow so much. So I'll erase a little bit of that out of the yellow. Something like that. Okay, so that's all the red. So here I go again. I'm going to create a stamp layer. And as soon as this thing stamps, I'm going to see if it will let me export it. For some reason, it's not letting me export this image yet. And there's something that I'm doing wrong. Normally, I just go back up to the layers menu. I don't know what's going on. So anyway, we're just going to continue this process. Go back into the Pro mode now that I've got a stamp layer. Choose my amount and go to the next color I want some blues, but not the same color blue as the ocean. Maybe right there. Go in here. Brush, right click, turn off radius and opacity under pen pressure. Turn my softness about halfway. Opacity a little less than half. Size is good. And I'm going to go here and paint in where I want blue. And if I was actually paying attention, I would have painted blue more where there's not a thick band of skies. Okay, and I just made my first mistake. I tell you every time, make sure you're right here. It says paint. I had it in erase. So it did not erase all my other colors when I went in there to paint. But what I can do is back out of that and start over without having to start the whole image. So I go back to my amount. I choose my color. I right click. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. I got my color. I choose brush. Right click on brush. Remove radius and opacity under pen pressure. Take my softness halfway down. My opacity a little less than halfway down. Make sure I'm in paint, and you need to have seen that because it happens all the time. If you go too far, you can't reverse out of it. Okay, so I'm going to paint this new blue color, and I'm going to paint it in here where there's no cloud area, where it looks like there's lighter clouds. And if you get your opacity too high, you can back it out after you paint. See, that looks a little weird up there. So I'm probably going to back that red way down. I mean that blue way down. That looks pretty decent. Gives you a different look. In here it's a little weird because this is the light on the water. But basically, that's how you can paint your own images. Oh, and one last time. Let's try one more layer. Did I already stamp that layer? I don't know, but I'm going to stamp it again. I'm going to create a stamp layer to put all these colors in one place and not mess with on my next adjustment. The last layer I'm going to attempt, I'm getting close to the limits and my computer may lock up. But the last layer that I will attempt now will be, go back into Pro mode, go to my photo filter, and I'm trying to find a color that will look good on this boat because we never painted the boat. And you tend to be somewhere around the reds to get anything close to a brown color. And you just kind of have to play with it right there. That doesn't look like much yet though. Okay, I'm right click, turning off radius and opacity under pen pressure, taking my softness halfway down. Since I'm painting in a solid object, I want my opacity all the way up. Brush size, start off small because I've got to click within this area of this boat. Make sure I'm in paint. And actually I can zoom this boat in. I can right click on my brush and adjust the size of my brush so I don't have to do so many swipes. I think I got a little too wide, so I'm going to come down a little bit. I like to make it about the size, the maximum size that I can do without running over on any part of the object that I'm painting. And what really works so great about this is all the shadows and dark colorations are preserved beneath the layers. I can't talk and work at the same time, obviously. I could do better, but I'm in a hurry, always. And you see me zooming in. I'm using this mouse again, the scroll on this mouse to zoom in a hurry. But there's no round brush. I mean, there's only round brushes on here that I can find, so I have to zoom in really close to get some of these tight spaces, like the point of this. And I overran, so I'll go up here to erase. And anytime you're erasing, you want your opacity as high as you can get it, because you don't want to spend time trying to erase, you know, having to go over and over it. All right, so we're going to zoom away. And we see I missed something, so I'm going back to paint up here for a minute, because I didn't get this whole top of this boat up here. You have to get really close. I need to go back and erase a little bit of overrun there. That's not too bad. I could do better. But there, I mean, that's just a way to paint your own images and get your own colors. The colors you want to see, not the colors that you let your camera see. Alright, we create a stamp layer. We did all that from a black and white picture, and you can do that from any black and white picture, and it doesn't take a lot of time once you get really proficient at it. It's very fast. And normally I could export this picture now. Something is going on that I have not figured out yet. Why it's not letting me export this new image. Anyway, we don't have to save it, I guess. It will automatically save when I shut down the program as well. So there it is. I hope you got something out of that.